Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is the conclusion to this saga as we know it. And right now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this film. A lot of people hate it, some people sort of like it, and in all fairness to Star Wars films, there's been many mistakes made along the way. Ah! That felt good, and the biggest question is this ninth and final film a fulfilling conclusion to the Star Wars saga? And before we talk about that, a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, well, because I'm poor. Hostinger. Express yourself online by creating your own custom blog, merch shop, or website in minutes with shared hosting and fast load times. You can easily create your website today with WordPress websites and have your very own VPS server. Feel my force and click the special link down below and use promo code FLICK to save 91% off your yearly web hosting plans. Links down below, check it out. Okay, let's sort of talk about the plot of this movie. Rey's continuing her Jedi training, Kylo Ren still being a conflicted bad guy, and Emperor Palpatine is in this film, well, to replace Snoke. Going into this movie, I wanted this to be a great Star Wars film. I don't want to go see a bad Star Wars movie. I don't like to go watch bad movies. It's a waste of time, and I have other things to do. Like, play fucking lightsabers, man. And I really thought the fact that J.J. Abrams was returning, we would correct the course of some of the mistakes of the past film. And with that said, let's get this out of the way very quickly. Like or hate The Last Jedi, at this point, I just don't care anymore, and I think that's worse. And after watching Rise of Skywalker, it seems pretty clear to me that Disney isn't a big fan of The Last Jedi because they spend the majority of this movie undoing everything that movie did. My point is, it feels like this film's spending so much time fixing those mistakes rather than allowing this new story to naturally progress, and everything in this film feels really rushed and choppy at times. Because a majority of the subplots and storylines that happen in Rise of Skywalker should have organically happened in the second film, but they never did. And every time they reference The Last Jedi in this film, or some of the events that happened, it almost feels like an obligation when they do it in this movie. Now let's talk about Emperor Palpatine, who returns in this film, and it's no secret because they announced that very early on in marketing and in trailers, and I have a conspiracy theory on why they did that, but first, I was excited to see Emperor Palpatine return. I wasn't really a big fan of Snoke anyway. Cut him in half and throw him in the garbage, as long as you have a game plan for Palpatine in this movie. Because maybe like you, when I first saw the Rise of Skywalker trailers, and I saw that crashed Death Star in the ocean, I was like, ooh, maybe Palpatine's been hiding on that for the last 30 years. What has he been doing? And yeah, it's safe to say that I was let down. Because in this movie, there's no epic unveiling of his character. He's sort of just there. And I think going in cold, not knowing that would have been even more disappointing than what we got with him in the movie. So I think the reason they showed him in the trailers was to sort of just warm us up for disappointment. Now let's talk about fan service. Is there fan service in this movie? Absolutely. Does some of it work? Yeah, some of it's just there. And I'm okay with fan service. I'm a fan, so service me as long as it fits into the story and works into the plot. And some of the fan service in this movie, it just feels like it's tacked on at times. But in all honesty, I would rather watch fan service that reminds me of better movies than watch these new characters that I don't really care about anymore. And that's the fault of the script. But hey, at least the plot of this movie doesn't revolve around another new Death Star. And after saying that, I just thought of more complaints about this movie, but I'll save those for my spoiler video over on my second channel, John Flickinger, link down below. Now let's be positive. I don't want to make this a rant video where I'm just hating on Star Wars. That's not what this video is. It's just a sad, lonely guy in his apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning wearing a Star Wars shirt, and I'm not wearing any pants right now. I just thought you guys should know that. Some of the CG looks amazing. I like watching spaceships fly through the sky. I like seeing lightsaber fights. I enjoy those things. There's one okay lightsaber fight during the second act of this movie. Also, there's one scene that you might have saw in the trailers. It's where Rey's in the desert and a spacecraft is flying after her. That was sort of neat to watch. But my main criticism towards the action in this film, there's not really that one scene that's going to transcend time and I'm going to remember. Like Return of the Jedi, for example. You had that really emotional, heartfelt lightsaber sequence with Darth Vader and Luke. And by the way, speaking of that movie, Palpatine returning to this film sort of undoes the sacrifice that Darth Vader made in that movie. Huh. Or even in the prequels, there was that great lightsaber fight with Darth Maul that had Duel of the Fates playing in the background. Just, that sends chills down my spine when I think about that. But in Rise of Skywalker, you don't really get that scene. And if you did and you saw the movie, let me know which scene that was down below. Now let's talk about the characters in this movie. You have Rey, Finn, and Poe, and they're all back together again. Finn and Poe still have that strong bromance going on, but they don't really have a lot to do in this film other than yell one-liners during action sequences. Now let's talk about the character of Rey. I don't think Rey's a bad character. I was sort of intrigued what they were doing with her character in The Force Awakens. I was like, where's that going to go? What mystery are they going to unveil? Because I'd never bought into the fact that her parents were just junk traders who sold her off for drinking money. No way. And in this film, it's sort of like they go out of their way to make you roll your eyes whenever she does anything in this movie because she's superpowered. She has been training for a year out in the woods, and somehow she's become this master Jedi. Even though you had Luke in a swamp with Master Yoda, she still completely outdoes anything he ever did. And there's just a few scenes where they just make up things as they go with her Jedi powers and the things that she can do. And it's almost unnecessary to include those things in this film. They should have just streamlined it and kept it as is. And as far as everyone's favorite conflicted antagonist of this trilogy goes, Kylo Ren, well, he's in the movie and he's still conflicted. I like Kylo Ren. I always enjoyed the fact that he's sort of a Darth Vader poser who lives in the shadow of Darth Vader, who is menacing and threatening, and Kylo Ren is sort of this cowardly figure trying to be that. And I thought that was intriguing for a villain of this trilogy. And in this movie, you abruptly see the return of his helmet, and I'm not quite sure why they did that. There was sort of a story arc going on with the second film where he destroys that, but they undo that and give it back to him for like 5 minutes in this movie. And I guess J.J. Abrams just thinks Adam Driver with a helmet covering his face maybe makes him more menacing, or Kylo Ren action figures sell more when you have the helmet on them. I'm going to go with that. And let's talk about the mother of Kylo Ren, Princess Leia, played by the late Carrie Fisher, and they brought her back digitally in this film, and it was a nice touch at times. I remember reading a while back that they had all this unused footage of Carrie Fisher that they could use in this film. And when you watch this movie, it sort of just feels like the same 3 shots reused over and over, the same angle and sort of the same look on her face. Her role in this film reminded me of a non-playable video game character. You know, when you're playing a game and you go up to the random butcher that works at the deli and he's like, "Would you like some ham today?" And you just turn around and walk the other way. That's what it felt like. Her responses just felt automated and sort of made sense for the situation, but there was no substance or meaning behind them. But in all fairness, it was a nice touch that she was in the movie. I just thought they would have more unused footage to include. Okay, in about 30 seconds from now, I'm going to give you my final flicking thoughts on this film, where I scream, I cry, then I take a lightsaber and stab it through my jugular. But before we do that, I want to give another quick mention to the sponsor of this video, because sponsors make videos possible because, well, YouTube hates me. And once again, big thanks to Hostinger for sponsoring this video, because without them, we would be doing this review in a dumpster behind the movie theater. If you need a website, blog, or merch shop, express yourself using WordPress. It makes creating a website super easy for anyone using Hostinger. If you have any website needs, domain names, hosting, or building a website, Hostinger makes the entire process super easy. And trust me, I have no clue how to do any of that stuff, but using that site, I understood it. So that's the best recommendation I can give you. Yeah, I'm stupid, and Hostinger makes me smart. Click my special link down below and use promo code FLICK to save 91% off your yearly hosting plans. Thanks so much, guys. Now let's get back to the review. All right, here are my final flicking thoughts on Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. This movie feels like 100 different ideas crammed into one movie, and it feels rushed, and a lot of things abruptly happen. And there are some good ideas, but those good ideas never get time to fully progress and present themselves and happen organically, and they're overshadowed by a lot of bad ideas that are also in the movie. And one last thing I want to say about this film: it's a messy film, but it is mildly entertaining at times. And if this movie was on Netflix at 3 o'clock in the morning 6 months from now, or actually Disney Plus, I'm sorry, I would probably watch some of the scenes in this film. Would I want to watch the entire movie? No, because I just get a sense of disappointment after I was done. I really think if they would have taken out maybe 20-25 minutes of all the bad stuff that they put into this film and gave that runtime to the stuff that actually works and allowed it to present itself throughout the story, you would have had a better movie. But the movie's constantly throwing everything at you and progresses so quickly, you never get time to care about anything that's happening in the film. And when you do start to care, they just move right past it and go on to something else. And also, during the climax of the film, there's something that happens that's, I knew it probably would, but they present it in such a way that it's awkward and sort of funny, and people in my theater laughed when it went down, so there's that. Let me know if people laughed in your theater too. Let me know down below in the comments. And for me, the movie's disappointing. It sort of reminds me of the final season of Game of Thrones, where they're rushing to the finish line to get it done, and rather than take their time, they just don't care anymore. Let's end it and move on to something else, and that's what this movie felt like. So with all that said, I'm going to give this movie, hang on, Rise of Skywalker isn't just some random movie of the week. This is the saga that concludes everything. This is the 9th and final film. Expectations were high, and once again, you can't please everyone. But I feel like they could have tried a little bit harder to write a better script, make a better movie. So here's my question, and let me know down below. What did you think about Star Wars Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, put those thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I want to see them. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and like or hate this movie, make sure you give the video a thumbs up because it does help the stupid YouTube algorithm. And make sure you subscribe, that way I can see you next time.